Max Bankman, I'm the new doctor.
Welcome aboard the Odyssey.
ABC Thursdays.
This ship is heaven. We're tending to our passengers' dreams. I'm in.
From 911 executive producer Ryan Murphy comes a splashy new drama on a luxury cruise ship with Joshua Jackson and Don Johnson.
It's your job to keep everyone alive.
She's in VFib. 1, 2, 3. Clear.
I have a pulse.
You're gonna be okay.
Dr. Odyssey. Thursdays, 9/8 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my co-host, Bree Tucker.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you?
We are talking today about something that I think is really hard for moms in particular to do, and it's to say no.
It is. It's so hard to say no. No to everybody because you want to make everybody happy.
Yeah, it's like your kids ask you to do something. You can't, it's hard to say no. Like, it's funny. I was going to go into that and be like, your kids ask you to do something? No. The PTO asks you to do something? No.
What was that Meghan Trainor song?
My name is No. My
Yeah,
sign
mine
is no.
I like
but
that.
In actuality, that's not how our lives play out because we are people pleasers. We do want to like show our kids in particular that like we're willing to help them out. But sometimes like it's hard to figure out what that limit is. And how do we balance the no's with like actually being helpful people? I mean, that's this thing I struggle with so often. So today's is the good one. We're going to give you a plan. We're going to give you lots of fun stories too. And hopefully hearing our experiences with it will have you more likely to say no as well.
If you're looking for another podcast to add to your rotation, we have got one for you. Our friends over at the Okayest Moms, the podcast too, they are amazing and you will utterly love their podcast. Okayest Moms, the podcast, is a community for the imperfect modern mom, which, hello. Every Tuesday, co-hosts Brittany and Heather talk about a wide range of motherhood topics. They believe that every mom deserves an identity outside of motherhood. Yep. Self-care is more than a shower, you bet. And that motherhood looks differently for everyone. And don't miss their monthly Okayest Moms Moment episodes where they share real life stories about the messy and perfect side of motherhood. You know, the kind that kind of leaves you so that you don't dare share on social media and you only share with your best friends because they're the ones that aren't going to judge you. So check them out, people. Check out the Okayest Moms podcast anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
And now on with the show. You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. We are talking about how to say no to others and actually stick with it, because I think we get all this advice, Brie, on that we should be saying no more in our lives. And then, I don't know about you, but I go and I say the no, and then I immediately feel guilty and dial back my no. So it becomes a less stronger no than I said in the first place.
I think that does happen to me a lot. Yeah. I probably don't realize it, but it does. Or even if I don't dial it back, I want to dial it back.
Yeah.
And then I have to go to like my support system at home. I'll go to Miguel and I'll be like, tell me I'm making the right choice. Tell me not to waver. And he's like, don't waver.
Don't waver. Stay strong.
Yeah.
Stay strong.
Stay strong, my friend. Stay strong.
One of the indications that you might need to say no a little bit more is if you're feeling really burnt out, if you're feeling constantly pressed upon that people are asking you things and you can't possibly keep up, or if you're feeling that life is just not fun.
Yeah.
If it's not fun and you're not setting those boundaries in place to do stuff that you think is fun, that could be an indication that no needs to make a bigger appearance in your life. And I say this from like personal experience because I lately have been delving into what do I actually find fun and what do I want to carve out time to do. And it's really hard because, I mean, my daughter's 13, my son is 9. I've been a mom for quite a while, and I've been kind of here accepting what everyone else needs for quite a while and not realizing that I've lost a bit of what I find fun because I've been so concerned about everyone else.
Well, okay, I 100% hear that, but let's also give some credit to the lovely global pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic did not help.
That
didn't
sucked out a lot of, I feel like a lot of us had made some gains in our lives where like maybe we were having time carved out. We had figured out some routines and things that worked. And then the pandemic went on and on for a couple of years. And that greatly impacted how we could do things, especially moms. Like we have podcast episodes where we talked about like the unfair weight upon moms during the pandemic. I feel like coming out of it now, even having been out of it for a little while now, and I don't even know how to look back at this episode is going to be so dated by saying that, but we may have had time to do things and then now we're not even sure where to start to get back to where we were.
Yeah, I think it's an age-old problem, though, because I remember my mom, like early 90s, she would just go to work and she would come home. And then, even then, I saw it. I saw that she was not doing anything for herself and she was not doing anything fun. And I would ask her about it. I'd be like, hey, mom, like she would come home and like, I'm sure I was so helpful in this. Oh my gosh, it started so early. But she'd be like, I just don't have time to work out. And here I am coming in with all my helpful suggestions at like 11, 12 years old, being like, mom, you have a gym at your work. Why don't you just stay after work and you can like work out there? And she's like, no, I don't have time for that. Like, I need to come home. I need to make dinner. I need to do all these things. And even then, and I think it was very common then, I think it's very common now, but she didn't go out with friends ever. She didn't have many friends outside of our family members. And it just became this routine of you come home, you do the kids stuff, you sit down, you watch TV, you wake up, you do it over again. And it's never that consideration for what else do I want to do rather than kind of going with the flow.
And society tells us that we should be fulfilled enough with that.
Yeah. And that's the issue. That's the issue because society's like, oh, like you have like a great family and you have a job and a roof over your head and this is it. But it's not. It's not it.
No. I have to say, honestly, the best thing that ever happened to me on my journey to learn to say no was my divorce.
Yeah.
It forced me to face a lot of things about my life that I didn't want to face, that I had no real identity outside of being a wife and a mom. I had no idea what I enjoyed doing because, oh my goodness, if you try jumping back into that whole pool of dating, like after having not done it for 20 plus years, that's real fun when people are like, what do you like doing? And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I like a good dinner out. Like that was exciting because I didn't have to do dishes.
Yes.
Really? That's the best you can come up with? So like, yeah, it taught me a lot about how to say no. And it also taught me a lot about what's important to me in terms of boundaries with personal relationships, with friends, with dating, all that.
Were you swiping and you're like, no. No.
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
Some practice with saying all the no.
I'm going to plead the fifth.
But like what you said is right. It's hard when you get in the routine, you're around people who you're familiar with, and you don't ever go outside of your comfort zone because the routine really sucks you in, especially when you have kids. Yeah. Because you're constantly trying to manage your own energy that you don't know what's okay to do and what's okay not to do. I mean, I bring it back to our trip to Italy, which was about a year ago now, which I'm like, we need another trip. But it was so hard to say yes to because there was all that things I would be saying no to in terms of my kids. I was saying no to, they usually do a fall theater camp and I would be missing their show. I was saying no to them for that. I was saying no to them that they could come on every vacation I ever go on with me. Like there's a lot of guilt that comes with that too.
That's a whole nother episode.
Thinking that like you need to take your kids along on every fun thing you do. That's an issue that we should get in on.
Yep.
Because I struggle with that too. But there are so many things there. And the point of this is that you can't say no if you don't know what you want to do.
Right.
Because if there's nothing that you're saying, yes, it's a hell yes for, then your no's become much harder to say because you don't have those priorities in place. Like we do in our Calm and Happy Parenting class. That's the first thing we do. We're like, what are your priorities? What do you want to get done? What do you want to do? Else you can't say no to the things that don't serve that. My water bottle is my constant accessory. I carry my pink one with me everywhere I go, and I honestly get a bit anxious when I don't have it. And I am always looking for ways to make drinking more water easier so I don't even have to think about it.
And that is why we love AquaTrue. Seriously, just one set of filters from their classic purifier makes the equivalent of 4,500 bottles of water. That's less than 3 cents a bottle, and you know how much I love a good deal. Plus, we get to help save the environment.
The filters are affordable and long lasting. No changing filters every 2 to 3 months. AquaTrue filters last from 6 months to 2 years. I can truly taste the difference compared to my old water filter.
AquaTrue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and makes a great gift. Today, our listeners receive 20% off any AquaTrue purifier. Just go to aquatrue.com. That's AQUATRU.com and enter code NGM at checkout. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to aquatrue.com and use the promo code NGM. Green Chef in Every Plate is now owned by HelloFresh, and with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there's something for everyone. I love switching between the brands, and now our listeners can also enjoy everything at a discount with Joanne and me.
And you know, I love takeout, but it is so expensive. And this is tasty restaurant style meals without that high price tag and less time even than it takes to get delivery.
I have to tell you, HelloFresh has a ton of options for whatever you are craving. Choose from a changing menu of over 50 recipes each week. Plus, take your pick from over 100 Market add-on items like dessert, breakfast, and did you know they have snacks?
That sounds amazing. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free-NGM. Applied across 7 boxes and new subscribers only, varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free-NGM.
HelloFresh, America's favorite #1 meal kit.
No one told us the truth about parenthood. Why? This is the podcast everyone needed before they had kids because now that those little ones are here, there is a lot to unpack. I'm Rachel Shepardota, and I am your host for the podcast No One Told Us, where we tell the truth about parenting and let you in on all the stuff you really should have known about before having kids. I am the founder of Hey Sleepy Baby, but this podcast is so much more than sleep. We'll be diving into all the topics that you really care about and need to know while you do your best job raising those adorable tiny humans. Our goal is to just make you feel less alone and less overwhelmed. There are so many things that no one tells us before becoming a parent, and I think that we should really pull back the curtain on becoming a first-time or second-time mom or dad to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll have a little education, a little fun, and a whole lot of heart that goes into each and every episode. So join me and our amazing guests each week to hear us talk about what no one told us.
Well, so then let's start showing them like what are things that they can do so that we can get these, we can not only just tell you that you're allowed to say no, but get you to really understand, feel, and know what your next steps are.
Yes. So first of all, if you don't know what you want to do, it's time to explore. And like exploring,
You got really excited about that one.
it's fun, and it's like it's a process I'm on right now because especially with the pandemic, like there was not many things new we could do.
Exactly,
We
right?
couldn't try new things. We couldn't go new places. We couldn't do any of that. So exploring is a great thing. I mean, I just did my first Dungeons and Dragons night with my husband and his friends. I'd never experienced it before. And honestly, I thought it was a nerd thing, guys. I'm going to say that right now. But it's not. It's not. It was one of those perceptions that I like held so tightly to. And sometimes when we do that to ourselves, like we prevent ourselves from trying new things when we think that new thing is something that's not worth our time, or like we assume it's something different than it is when we haven't even tried it.
Well, that's true. Assuming it makes an A out of you and me. Like
yeah.
assuming is going to be the real killer of most situations, right? But I'm going back to the whole Dungeons and Dragons. I'm just going to say Stranger Things did make it pretty cool. I gotta say.
Okay, was that in a later season? Because I'm only in the middle of season 3. Did they play Dungeons and Dragons in season 1? I can't remember.
They do.
Okay,
It's a theme through the whole show.
Oh, really? I need to go back and watch it now that I know what Dungeons and Dragons actually
Yep.
is.
And all the creatures are Dungeons and Dragons characters.
Really?
And then the 4th season, I mean, Hellfire Club. They're awesome. And Eddie? But you haven't gotten to season
I haven't
4.
gotten there. I'm middle of season 3. They just escaped the Russian base.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Okay, well.
But anyway,
and
I'm just saying they brought Dungeons and Dragons back to the forefront. And I do think that you're right. Like many of us are like back from the growing up in the 80s, like, oh, that's just what nerds do. But no, there's really and honestly, My son enjoyed playing it. He hasn't played it a lot because the pandemic happened right when he was starting it. So kind of put a squish on that.
Yeah.
But I will say that when he tried to explain it to me, I was like, my head is about to explode. This is such a complex game.
It is such a complex game. And
so to say it's like not fun, like if you like complex things, you like figuring things out and you like creating, like it's an awesome game.
But it's like, it's not even like you don't have to know all the things going in. And it's almost great going in. Like I just went in as a beginner, like, and he's like, okay, you have to roll a D20 and you have like 10 dice in your hand. And I just like put all the dice in my hand and I held it out. And I'm like, which one is a D20? And a D20 just means it's 20-sided dice, but it's like also coming in like just as a beginner is great. But things I found out about myself in there is that when you're playing a character, you can leave your people pleasing and like throw it out the window because you could be like as mean and as rude and just say all the things that you ever want to say or do all the things like you're afraid to do in real life. And that's a benefit of role playing. You just get to be silly. And
I cannot picture you being harsh on that though.
I'm
Your
not
role was still a nice person.
I'm basically a She-Hulk wizard. That's my character in Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a She-Hulk wizard and I was the one the goblins attacked and I'm like, I'm going out front to see what's going on. And if you're ever a wizard in Dungeons and Dragons, don't do that because wizards have like no fighting power and you will die.
Okay.
I got knocked unconscious about an hour into the game and it was a 4-hour game. So I was just
That's the other thing. It takes a lot of commitment, but it's good. But still, we could talk about Dungeons and Dragons a lot here. But it brought you joy, obviously.
It brought me joy of something unexpected, and it's just trying those new things and knowing what you like and what you don't like. And the same goes for we went on the river on Sunday. You invited me to the river, and there were all of these complications in my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with the kids? Oh, my husband has like a training bike ride he's going to go on. Like
there was a lot of
everything came up until I realized I'm like, you know what? This makes me happy. And I went to my husband. I'm like, so I want to go on the river. And my husband's cool. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll just do a Peloton ride that day and not go out on my. And
that was a huge reason for your no in your head was that he had something going on.
Yes.
You couldn't ask him.
Yes, I was trying to protect my husband.
Yep.
Which I think we all do.
We all do that for so many members of our family. We try to anticipate what their needs are going to be and to try to not make their lives harder. And that's what causes it to be so hard for us to say no.
Could we go out? Because I think this is really related. But whenever we do have like a girls' night out or something, and I don't think our group of friends has done this, but I've seen other people do this, where they will prepare the whole night for their husbands. They'll be like, they will make a dinner ahead of time. They will make sure that the kids have all of their clothes laid out for bedtime. They will like make the process as easy as possible. So then they go out and their husbands don't have to do a single thing while they're gone. Like they make minimal effort as possible. It's exhausting. But it happens a lot. It happens a lot. And I have friends who we go on vacation with or like go to like a work event and she's like saying like all of these lists of stuff she left in terms of instructions and meals she had to prepare ahead of time. And it's just like, it doesn't have to be that hard to do the things you want to do.
That's when you got to take a step back and be like, all right, can my spouse really handle this? Chances are they can.
Yes,
I'm
grown adult.
anticipating too much.
Yes.
And if they knew how little we were thinking that their abilities were, they may not be so happy about that list.
Yeah.
And those meals. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know everybody's relationship, but man, I would be a little insulted.
But if like one of those things that is holding you back is that it is too much work to do what you want to do, look to see what work that you have on your plate and what you're expecting yourself to do. Because odds are that if you have a partner, they could take a lot of that off your plate for you. That you don't even have to think about it. You're just like, I need some time. I need to go.
Yeah. So, okay. You have another point on here about like framing your no.
Framing your no.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, so there are so many situations where you can say no, especially to your kids. So once you know exactly like what your priorities are. So in this example, one of my priorities is that my kids are really self-sufficient in the house and they do their chores on their own. And second to that is I do want them to be kind and helpful to others. Mm-hmm. But there's a boundary, and some of those boundaries are a little like fuzzy. So this weekend, my daughter was working on something for school, and she had her laundry in the washer, and she's 13, and she asked me, she's like, hey, Mom, like I'm working on this poster right now. Can you go and switch my laundry for me? And I was here trying to like get meal plans ready for the week and trying to get other
you
stuff
were
ready
doing
myself.
something.
I
Yeah.
was doing something as well. And I told her, because I knew it had to be a no. I'm not going to stop everything I'm doing just to
Right.
like help her change laundry, which is not an urgent need that could definitely wait until she was done with her poster.
Right.
And so I told her, I'm like, I would love to help you out. I started with a nice, but I have these things I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't.
Yeah.
And that's all I did.
Yep.
And I said no.
It's like one of my things that I do sometimes. It's not that simple of a situation. Like mine would be, well, maybe it is simple. It's all simple depending on how you look at it. So like my daughter came down one day and wanted to go to the mall. Mm-hmm. She wanted to go shopping to get a new outfit. I forget what the reason was, but there was a legit reason. And that day I couldn't. But I told her like I can't take you today, but maybe tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And she just kept harping on it. And so finally I just started going into my favorite statement. I love you and no. Mm-hmm. I love you and no. And finally, like she was able to stop and respect the no and move on. Was she upset? Yeah. Did she like stomp a little? Yeah. It took her a couple hours, but she calmed down, eventually came downstairs, tried to plead her case one more time. And I'm like, I gave you my reason why I couldn't. I have stuff I'm doing today. I love you and no. Mm-hmm. And then it finally stopped and we were good and we could move on. But it's that same thing. It's like the I love you.
No.
I'd love to be able to help you. And no, it's okay. If it's too much and they're making you nervous, just stick with the I love you and no. I love you and no.
It's a great phrase.
Yes.
I use that phrase
Fantastic.
a lot. Especially when they come back again and again and again and again and again.
Because they
try to get a different answer each
Because they
time.
do.
And then they go and they ask your husband, their dad.
And then you
And then they
wonder,
go.
and then you wonder if your kids have a career in being a lawyer.
Yeah.
Because they're
You're
so
like, this is
good.
interesting. And it
Litigation.
is also manipulative. Let's talk about the word manipulation. Let's do that.
Oh, Lordy Lord.
And then the hardest thing, I think, when you decide to set a boundary and say no to make space for something that you want to do is to stick to your no.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things that happen around it that make you feel really crappy.
Yeah.
Really crappy. It's not an easy like, oh, I'm going to go, well, in our case, to Italy on a cruise. And my family's going to be happy and wonderful when I come back. No. There were like crying phone calls of, Mom, I miss you so much. And like all of those emotions and things you have to deal with. And I would say overall, though, going through that experience, that I would totally go and do it again, go to Italy and deal with all those things. Because when your kids push back, when you have other things happen because you've decided to do something, it's just life. It's just the challenges that come up.
Yep.
And it's okay.
And you know what's really great about sticking to your no is that you are teaching, you are modeling to others, especially your kids, the importance of sticking to healthy boundaries.
Yes. And it's
You are-
incredibly hard.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you are modeling to them what healthy boundaries look like. And we started this episode with you sharing the story about your mom and the boundaries that she modeled to you, and how a lot of us do take what we see from our parents, what we experience in our lives as children in our family, and we take that and we roll with that in our lives as well. In your case, what you saw was a boundary that you were like, "Ooh, goodness, I don't want that boundary going forward." But a lot of people don't have that experience. They'll be like, "Nope, Mom never did anything on her own, so I should never do anything on my own."
Yeah.
And you don't want your kids like that?
No, that's not. In fact, I didn't even want kids. I pushed them off for a long, long time because of that, because they thought my life would be over. And it wasn't until I saw it modeled for me in terms of friends' kids that I'm like, oh, wait, the parents still go out? They still go out?
That's fantastic. Who were your friends that
this?
modeled that for you? I'm curious.
It was Josh's cousins who live in Colorado. They had a toddler at the time. We went to go stay with them, and they were starting their own company. And yeah, it wasn't just mom staying at home and dad doing it. It was
I think these cousins we have to thank for a lot of things.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And it showed me that it's okay to have your own life outside of your kids, which I think is an important thing for everybody to know.
Right.
I'm Margaret.
And I'm Amy.
And together we host the podcast, What Fresh Hell? Laughing in the Face of Motherhood.
Margaret, I would say you're sort of a where are my keys kind of mom.
Correct. Sometimes a where are my kids kind of mom. Well, you're aiming more of a, we were supposed to leave 35 seconds ago, Mom.
I mean, touche. In each episode of What Fresh Hell, we come at a topic from our usually completely opposite perspectives. I bring the research.
And I bring kind of the gimlet eye. Like, is that research really going to work, people?
And almost 10 million downloads later, we're still laughing.
We also talk to experts in the parenting field, plus parents with stories we can all learn from.
We make each other laugh, we challenge each other's assumptions, and we have what we think is the best parenting community on the internet.
Check out What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood, wherever you listen to podcasts.
And sticking to your no, it's hard when you don't have people supporting you and in your corner with your no. Like if you stick to your no and then your like mother-in-law, and I use only mother-in-law because I have a fantastic mother-in-law who would never ever do this. So I would not get in trouble by using the mother-in-law comment. But I know a lot of other people's mother-in-laws do, what they feel really, really guilty and saying like, no, you should be home with your children. No, you should make sure your children are happy and well taken care of. Yeah, all of those things. And it's so much pressure when you have someone else in your ear telling you you're making wrong decisions when you're not.
Oh, wait, can I throw in one more of those?
Yes.
The whole like, oh, gosh, I was happy enough just being home with my kids. I don't understand why it's not good enough for you.
That's so awful.
Right?
That's
I
so
was just so
awful.
excited to be a mom. That just made me feel with everything.
Oh, that's so
I don't know why that's not enough for you.
Oh, if you are hearing these things, come to us.
Please let us know. Yeah, please hear us out.
That's one of the great things about our Calm and Happy Parenting program and our Balance VIP coaching support group is because like we are there to like help you stick to your nose and to show you like, hey, this is like brand new world on the other side of setting boundaries and communicating with kids, and you can still take care of yourself and have this great life with your family.
Because you need your team. You need your team that has your back.
Team.
That is there to tell you, you've got this.
Yeah.
You can do this. It's okay. You're not being selfish.
No.
All these things.
That is one of the big things I love about Calm and Happy Parenting and Balance, because that is the support we provide. But you need
so
those
many of
people
us-
in your corner.
Yeah, so many of us have been told that. We've been told that by wanting to do things on your own, you're being selfish. And you're not. You need to have healthy boundaries because you can't be everyone's everything all the time.
No.
There's not enough left for you.
And can I tell you the broad scale manipulation that comes from kids? Like they are the best at manipulating. And I love like it. And it's not to say they do this intentionally. They don't. They're just looking to fulfill a need and they don't know how to fulfill it in a respectable way.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, we went to the river, came back around noon. My son, I was told he was totally fine the entire time. I walk in the door, Mom, I'm so hungry. I didn't eat breakfast. Mom. And like, Dad wouldn't make me anything. And I'm so hungry. And I'm like feeling here like I just came back from an enjoyable time at the river. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
And it
like
gets sucked out.
why is this happening right now? And then I like think of my husband and I'm like, why didn't he make him anything? Like, that's the first thing that goes through my head until I go and talk to my husband.
You're like, so I just want to confirm some facts here.
I was just like, hey, like Eric came up to me and he was like this. And he's like, yeah, I mean, we woke up. I asked him if he wanted anything. He said no, he'd find his own thing. And that was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that
Your
makes-
husband's like, I took him at his
I
word.
took
Was
him
I
on
not
his
supposed
word
to?
and did that. And I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense. And so
Yeah.
that can happen, and that can cause a lot of conflict between you and your spouse or your parenting partner, because your kids will tell you one thing about how they viewed the situation when the actuality is so very different.
What did we just say about assuming, people?
Assuming, yes.
Do not assume. Just try to get all the facts first. And you know what? If you're still on your high of your time alone, you can put that problem aside and be like, hey, I'm not going to go talk to your dad about it then.
I
Go
did.
Talk to your dad.
I did. I was like, oh, you're hungry? Oh, I'm hungry too. I'm just going to go take a shower really quick. Okay, bye. And I went and shut the door and I took a shower, and then my daughter was out there too. And she came up afterwards. She's like, I just want you to know he was completely fine before you came in the door. And then as soon as you went to take the shower, he was completely fine again and went to watch YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, I expected as much.
Yeah, it makes you feel vindicated and mad at the same time,
Yeah.
doesn't it? You're like, I knew it. And then it's like, oh, I knew it.
I knew it. Oh, well, there's a thing. A lot of, this is kind of an aside, but it's not an aside. A lot of like popular messaging around boys is that they are very sensitive and that, you know, they have really big emotions, and they need to be taken care of, which they do. It's all true. But so do girls. Boys are sometimes given a lot more leeway in terms of their emotional expression than girls are. Whereas boys are allowed to have these big outbursts and everything, and it's like it's normal, quote unquote normal, when we don't raise girls the same way. And I see that, and I am working with that with my son, although it's really hard because it's ingrained in you. Like, it's ingrained in me. I do it automatically. And I'm like, oh, he just has big emotions. Not realizing that this is a societal thing. So much so that, I mean, gosh, I'm a Marvel fan. I will go and quote all the Marvel to you all the time. But in She-Hulk, this first episode of She-Hulk, if you remember in the Hulk, he has a really hard time controlling when he's the Hulk, right? Because he'll get mad, he'll get angry, and he'll turn into the Hulk. And so the premise of She-Hulk, and I'm not really giving too much away here, is that they get in a car accident at the beginning. She's Bruce Banner's cousin, and some of his blood seeps into her open wound from the car accident, and she becomes a Hulk as well. Okay. So that's how she gets her abilities. So he was like, oh no, you have to stay here away from people for a year. Like, it took me a year to figure out how to control the Hulk. And she's able to do it like that. Like, it's really fast. And when he's like, I don't understand this. And she's like, well, you said it comes from emotions. Me as a woman, like, I'm not allowed to show my anger and emotions. If someone catcalls me, if someone yells at me at work, I have to control my emotions and I'm not allowed to react. So that's why I'm able to shift from the Hulk so easily, because I can control those emotions.
Interesting.
And I'm like, yes, because it's something that we're ingrained as women to do, not to show anger and to hold it all inside. It's kind of sad and kind of like, oh, that's how it is.
Yeah.
So it's a superpower as well.
Yes. So hopefully we have taught you your superpower.
Yes.
Of saying no and all the ways that you can do it. So please, and I want to say, like, too, like, this episode was kind of inspired because we have our No Guilt Mom mindset, which we have a link to in the show notes here. And I'm allowed to say no is one of our mindsets there. It's actually mindset number 3. It's a very, very important thing that we think is really important for you as a mom to have.
So how to say no to others and stick to it is, number 1, be clear on your priorities. Number 2, know how to frame your no. And number 3,
you're going to stick to your no, no matter what.
No. You know that there is going to be conflict and pushback coming up.
It's okay.
Shared some with ours. That's how it goes.
You'll make it. You can do it. We believe in you. You are allowed to say no.
And of course, we want you in Calm and Happy Parenting and Balance VIP. So we have a link for that in the show notes as well. And until next time, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. And we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.